She whispered she was still a virgin at 28, but her billionaire fiancé overheard and wanted her forever. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to the story. Emma Brooks had always dreamed of making it big in the art world, but the reality of her life was far from glamorous. She worked as a waitress at a small cafe, struggling to make ends meet. At 28, she had been on countless blind dates, set up by her best friend Jenny, but none of them had worked out. That evening, Jenny convinced Emma to go on one last blind date, promising it would be different. Emma was skeptical but agreed, as she always did for Jenny. The restaurant was fancy, with dim lighting and white tablecloths. Emma's second-hand dress felt out of place among the polished guests. As she stepped inside, she scanned the room, her heart racing. "Table 7, she murmured to herself, her nerves getting the best of her. When her eyes landed on a man sitting alone, engrossed in his phone, she felt a sudden relief. He was well-dressed, dark hair, neatly styled. He had to be him. She walked over, trying to steady her breath. "Hi, you must be Kevin. I'm Emma. Nice to meet you," she said with a nervous smile. Liam Parker looked up, blinking in surprise. His confusion lingered for a moment, but then he gave a faint smile. Hi, Emma," he replied, unsure what to make of the situation. Emma, thinking he was just shy, slid into the seat across from him. "I know this is awkward, but blind dates are weird, right?" she joked, hoping to ease the tension. "Jenny told me you might be a little quiet, so don't worry. I can talk enough for both of us." Liam opened his mouth to correct her, but then paused. His business associate had just texted to cancel their meeting, and something about Emma's genuine smile made him hesitate. She wasn't like the polished socialites or the calculated networkers he usually encountered. She was real. He decided to go along with it. "Right, blind dates are something else," he chuckled. As they talked, Emma nervously fidgeted with her napkin, telling Liam about her struggles as a waitress, her dreams of someday opening an art studio. Liam found himself listening more intently than he expected, laughing at her jokes. She was so open and unpretentious, unlike the people he usually interacted with. He found it refreshing. "You're not what I expected," she said after a while, her tone thoughtful. "Well, Jenny said you were reserved," Emma continued, blushing slightly. "But you're easy to talk to." Liam smiled, feeling a strange warmth. "You're easy to talk to too," he replied, his voice softening. As the conversation continued, Emma told him more about her life, how she was struggling to pay rent, and her hopes of someday being a successful artist. For the first time in a long while, Liam felt a connection that wasn't based on his wealth or status. It was real, it was simple, and it felt right. Just as Emma was about to ask him more about his work, her phone buzzed. "Hey, Emma, where are you?" "I'm at table 7, looking forward to meeting you, Kevin." Emma froze, her face turning red with embarrassment. She quickly looked up at Liam, who was watching her with a slight frown. "You're not Kevin, are you?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. Liam's smile faltered, guilt flashing in his eyes. "No, I'm not," he admitted. Emma's stomach sank as the reality of the situation hit her. She had been talking to the wrong person the entire time. "Oh my God," she muttered, standing up quickly. "I'm so sorry. I sat at the wrong table. This is so embarrassing." Without waiting for a response, she grabbed her coat and bolted for the door, her face burning with humiliation. Liam stood there, watching her go, a strange mix of regret and curiosity swirling in his chest. He had intended to correct her from the start, but now he couldn't help but wonder. Why did he feel so bothered by the idea of never seeing her again? What was it about her that felt so different? Emma rushed out of the restaurant, her heart pounding in her chest. She had made such a fool of herself. She couldn't believe it. How could she have mistaken Liam for Kevin? As she stepped out into the cool night air, she felt a sense of relief, mixed with embarrassment. She just wanted to forget the whole thing. She could already hear Jenny's teasing voice in her head, but what was worse was the feeling of regret that lingered in her chest. There was something about Liam, something real, something different from all the other men she had met. As much as she wanted to ignore it, The connection they shared had felt undeniable. But no, she couldn't get her hopes up. He was probably just another rich guy, too good to be true. He probably thought she was crazy by now. She pulled her coat tighter around her and walked down the street, her mind racing with thoughts of what had just happened. Back inside the restaurant, Liam stood there for a few moments, watching her disappear into the night. He didn't know what had just happened. He should have corrected her earlier, but he hadn't. Something about Emma had caught him off guard. She wasn't like the women he usually met. They were polished, calculated, always looking for something. But Emma, she was different. She was real. He couldn't stop thinking about her, the way she spoke about her dreams, the way she was so open and honest about her life. He'd never met anyone like her before. He should have called her back, told her it was okay. But instead, he just stood there, confused. He had meant to let her go, but now he wasn't sure. Liam's phone buzzed in his pocket, snapping him out of his thoughts. It was a message from his business associate, asking if he was still coming to the meeting. He quickly typed back, "Not tonight," before putting his phone away. He walked out of the restaurant and into the cool night air, his mind still on Emma. He had never felt this way before. As Emma made her way down the street, her phone buzzed again. It was a message from Jenny. "Hey, where are you? You okay?" Emma let out a sigh. Jenny would never let her live this down. She typed back quickly, "I'm fine, just had a little mix-up, don't worry about me." But the truth was, she was still shaken by the encounter with Liam. She couldn't stop thinking about how easy it had been to talk to him, how he had made her feel like she mattered. But what was the point? He was probably just playing along, humoring her. She couldn't afford to get her hopes up. She had to focus on what mattered: her dreams of becoming an artist, her work, and her independence. She couldn't rely on anyone else to make her feel special. She had learned that the hard way. The next day, Emma went about her usual routine, trying to shake off the strange encounter from the night before. She worked her shift at the cafe, serving coffee to customers and trying to stay focused. But no matter how hard she tried, her thoughts kept drifting back to Liam. She wondered if he was thinking about her too. It seemed unlikely, but she couldn't shake the feeling. That afternoon, as she was cleaning up the tables, she heard a familiar voice. "Hey, Emma!" She turned around and froze. It was Liam. He stood in the doorway of the cafe, his dark hair slightly disheveled, wearing a casual jacket and jeans. He looked like he had just come from a meeting, but there was something different in his eyes. He looked nervous, uncertain even. "Liam?" she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "What are you doing here?" He smiled slightly, rubbing the back of his neck. I wanted to apologize for last night. I should have told you who I was." Emma's heart skipped a beat. Was he apologizing for not correcting her sooner, or was he apologizing for something else? "It's okay," she said quickly, not wanting to make things more awkward than they already were. I really didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. I just didn't expect to meet someone like you." Liam looked at her, his expression softening. "Someone like me?" he repeated, his voice quiet. Emma felt her cheeks flush. She hadn't meant to say it like that. "I mean, you're not like the other guys I've met," she said, fumbling for the right words. "You're different, and I wasn't prepared for that." Liam stepped closer, his eyes never leaving hers. "You think I'm different?" he asked, his voice low. Emma nodded, a little unsure of herself. "I do," she said softly. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The air between them felt charged, as if something unspoken was hanging in the balance. Finally, Liam broke the silence. "I've been thinking about you," he said quietly. "I don't know why, but I can't stop, and I wanted to see you again, to explain myself." Emma's heart raced. This wasn't how she expected this to go. She had thought she would never see him again. And now here he was, standing in front of her, admitting that he had been thinking about her. She felt a wave of emotion wash over her, a mixture of excitement, disbelief, and fear. Was he really interested in her, or was this just another rich guy playing a game? She had to know. "Why?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. "Why me?" Liam smiled, a genuine smile that reached his eyes. "Because you're real, Emma, and I haven't met anyone like you in a long time." Emma felt a rush of emotions as Liam's words hung in the air. She had never expected this, never thought she'd find herself in this situation, especially not with someone like him. Liam Parker, the CEO, the tech millionaire, the kind of man who could have anyone he wanted, And yet, here he was, admitting that he couldn't stop thinking about her. She had barely gotten over the embarrassment of their first meeting, and now he was standing in front of her, telling her he was interested. She tried to steady her breath, unsure of what to say or how to react. Was this real? Was he serious? Or was this some kind of game? Her mind raced with doubt and confusion. But why me, Liam? She asked, her voice trembling slightly. You could have anyone you want. Why would you want someone like me? Liam's expression softened, and he stepped a little closer to her. Because, Emma, you're different, he said, his voice quiet but firm. You're not like the women I'm used to. You're real. You speak from the heart. I admire that. His words hit her harder than she expected. She felt a lump form in her throat, her heart pounding in her chest. She had always struggled with self-doubt, always felt like she wasn't enough, like she didn't belong in the world of the rich and powerful. But here was Liam, someone who had everything, telling her that she was the one he wanted. I don't know what to say, Emma whispered, her eyes downcast. I never thought someone like you would be interested in someone like me. Liam gently lifted her chin, forcing her to look at him. I don't want you to think that I'm just some guy who's used to getting everything he wants, he said softly. I've spent so much time surrounded by people who only care about what I can give them. But with you, it's different. It's real. Emma felt a tear slip down her cheek, and she quickly wiped it away, embarrassed by her sudden surge of emotions. She had been so guarded for so long, afraid of getting hurt, afraid of opening up to someone who might never truly care. But there was something in Liam's eyes that made her believe he was telling the truth. She didn't know what this was, but for the first time in a long while, she wanted to believe in it. I'm not used to this, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. I've been on my own for so long, and I don't know how to let anyone in. But there's something about you, Liam. He smiled softly, a reassuring smile that made her heart flutter. You don't have to let anyone in if you're not ready, he said. I'm not going anywhere. I just want you to know that I'm here, and I'm not going to run away. Emma nodded, trying to calm the whirlwind of emotions inside her. She didn't know what the future held, but she knew that this moment, this connection with Liam, was something she couldn't ignore. It felt too real to be brushed aside. I don't know what this is, she said slowly, but I want to find out. Liam's smile widened, and he gently took her hand in his. Let's take it slow, he said. No pressure. We'll figure it out together. They stood there for a moment, just holding hands, the silence between them comfortable. For the first time in a long while, Emma felt like she wasn't alone. For the first time, she felt like she could let someone in. As Liam stepped back, he gave her a wink. I'll see you later, Emma, he said, his voice light and teasing. I'm looking forward to getting to know you better. Emma watched him walk out of the cafe, a sense of disbelief still lingering in her chest. She had no idea what the future held, but she couldn't deny that something about Liam felt different. Something about him made her believe that maybe, just maybe, she could have the life she'd always dreamed of. She stood there for a few moments, her thoughts racing, before she snapped back to reality. She had a shift to finish. She shook her head and laughed to herself, trying to shake off the whirlwind of emotions that had taken over her. This was real, and for the first time in a long time, she was ready to let herself believe in it. It had been a few days since Emma and Liam had that conversation, and although they hadn't seen each other again, Emma couldn't stop thinking about him. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw his face, heard his voice, and felt his hand in hers. It was strange, how quickly he had become a part of her thoughts. But something about him felt so genuine, so different from the men she had known before. She kept telling herself to focus, to keep her head in the game. She had to keep working, to keep moving forward. She couldn't afford to get lost in something that might not even be real. But every time she looked up from her work, there was that nagging feeling that something was missing. She didn't want to admit it, but she wanted to see him again. As she was wiping down the counter during her lunch break, her phone buzzed in her pocket. Startled, she pulled it out and saw a message from Liam. Her heart skipped a beat as she read it. Hey Emma, I know it's been a few days, but I've been thinking about you. I'd love to see you again. Maybe we could grab coffee sometime? Emma's stomach fluttered as she stared at the screen. Was this really happening? Was he really reaching out? She quickly typed a response, her fingers trembling. I'd love that, Liam. How about tomorrow? She hit send before she could second-guess herself. A moment later, he replied, "Tomorrow sounds perfect. I'll pick you up at 2?" Emma couldn't help but smile as she read his message. It felt like a dream. She was excited, nervous, and completely unsure of what was about to happen. But one thing was for sure: she couldn't wait to see him again. The next day, Emma dressed carefully, wanting to look nice without overdoing it. She chose a simple, elegant dress, one that made her feel confident without being too flashy. She wanted to be herself, to show Liam who she really was. She wasn't trying to impress him, she just wanted to be real. At 2 o'clock sharp, she heard the sound of a car pulling up outside. Her heart raced as she glanced out the window and saw Liam's sleek black car parked in front of her building. She took a deep breath, smoothed down her dress, and walked out the door. As she stepped onto the sidewalk, Liam was already there, standing beside his car with a warm smile on his face. He looked even better in person than she remembered, his dark hair perfectly styled, his suit tailored to perfection. "Hey, Emma," he said, his voice full of warmth. "You look amazing." Emma felt her cheeks flush, and she couldn't help but smile. "Thank you," she replied, feeling a little self-conscious. "You look great too." Liam opened the passenger door for her, and she climbed inside, feeling a little nervous but also excited. As they drove through the city, the conversation flowed easily between them. They talked about their lives, their dreams, their fears. Emma found herself opening up to him in a way she hadn't with anyone in a long time. Liam listened, really listened, to what she had to say, and she couldn't help but feel a sense of connection that went beyond simple attraction. They arrived at a small, cozy cafe on the outskirts of town, a quiet little place that Emma had never been to before. Liam led her inside, and they sat at a corner table, away from the bustle of the rest of the cafe. As they ordered their drinks, Liam looked at her with a serious expression. "Emma," he began, his voice low, "I've been thinking a lot about what we talked about the other day, and I want you to know that I'm serious about getting to know you better. I'm not just looking for a casual fling, not with you. I want something real." Emma felt a lump form in her throat. She had been afraid to let herself believe that Liam could be serious about her. But hearing him say it made her feel like she wasn't imagining things. He really did want this. "I want that too," she said softly, her voice trembling slightly. "I don't want to rush anything, but I think there's something between us, something worth exploring." Liam smiled, his eyes softening. "I'm glad to hear that," he said, "because I really believe we have something special." The rest of the afternoon passed in a blur of laughter and conversation, and for the first time in a long time, Emma felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. She wasn't just a waitress, struggling to make ends meet. She was someone worthy of love, someone who deserved to be happy. And maybe, just maybe, Liam was the person who could show her that. As they finished their coffee and stood to leave, Liam reached for her hand. "I'm really glad we did this," he said. "I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes." Emma smiled, her heart swelling with warmth. "Me too," she said. "Let's see where it takes us." They walked out of the cafe together, hand in hand, ready to see what the future would bring. It had been a few weeks since Emma and Liam's first coffee date, and things were progressing steadily between them. Every moment with him felt like a dream she was afraid to wake up from. They saw each other regularly now, and Emma found herself opening up in ways she hadn't with anyone before. Liam was genuine, kind, and patient, and he never rushed her into anything. He respected her boundaries, giving her the space she needed while still making it clear that he wanted to be there for her. Yet, despite the connection they shared, Emma couldn't help but feel a small voice of doubt in the back of her mind. She had grown up in a world where nothing ever came easily, where happiness seemed like something meant for other people. Could she really have this? Could a woman like her, who had spent years working her way up from nothing, really have a future with someone like Liam, someone who had everything? She pushed those thoughts aside as she sat at the small cafe table where she and Liam had met. He was running late, as usual, but it didn't bother her. She'd gotten used to it. It was funny how quickly she had come to understand him, how busy his life was, how much pressure he was under. He rarely complained about it, though. It was just part of who he was, and Emma admired that. As she sipped her coffee, her phone buzzed on the table. She glanced at it and saw a message from Liam. "Sorry I'm late, running into some things at the office. Be there in 10. Emma smiled at the message, setting her phone down again. Just as she did, the door to the cafe opened, and Liam walked in. He spotted her right away, his face lighting up when he saw her. His presence was magnetic, and it made Emma's heart skip a beat every time she saw him. "Hey, beautiful," he said as he walked over to the table, dropping a kiss on her cheek before sitting down. "Sorry again for being late. I swear I'm trying to get better at this." Emma laughed, the sound light and carefree. "It's fine, Liam. I'm just happy to see you." He smiled, the warmth in his eyes making her feel like the luckiest woman alive. They ordered their drinks, and as they chatted, Emma found herself lost in the ease of their conversation. It felt so natural, so right. But as they continued to talk, she noticed a change in Liam's demeanor. He seemed more serious, his gaze focused and intense, as if he had something important to say. Finally, he spoke. "Emma," he said, his voice lower now, "there's something I need to tell you." Emma looked at him, her heart suddenly pounding. "What is it?" she asked, her mind racing. Was something wrong? Had she done something to upset him? Liam took a deep breath, his hands resting on the table in front of him. "I want you to know that I care about you, more than I've ever cared about anyone before," he began. "But I also know that I have a lot of baggage, a lot of things I haven't told you, things I've kept buried for a long time." Emma felt a knot form in her stomach. She had always known that Liam wasn't perfect, but she had never expected him to have such deep secrets. She reached across the table and gently touched his hand, offering him a small, reassuring smile. "You don't have to tell me everything all at once, Liam," she said softly. "I'm here for you, no matter what." Liam smiled, his eyes softening as he looked at her. "I know," he said quietly, "and I appreciate that more than you know, but I don't want there to be any secrets between us." Emma nodded, her heart swelling with affection for him. "I understand," she said, "and I'm not going anywhere. We'll take this one step at a time, okay?" Liam's face lit up with relief. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "You don't know how much that means to me." They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of the conversation hanging between them, but Emma felt a sense of calm settle in her chest. Whatever Liam had been carrying, whatever was weighing on him, she knew they could face it together. After all, she wasn't afraid of a challenge. And Liam, well, he was worth it. As they left the cafe, Liam took her hand in his once more, his grip warm and reassuring. "Let's take this slow, Emma," he said softly. "But no matter what happens, I want you to know that I'm in this with you." Emma looked up at him, feeling a mix of hope and excitement stir inside her. "I'm in this with you too," she replied. "Let's see where this goes." And with that, they walked down the street together, ready to face whatever came next, hand in hand. It had been a couple of weeks since Liam and Emma made the decision to take things slow, and their relationship had blossomed in the most unexpected and beautiful way. They spent time together almost every day, getting to know each other on a deeper level, and Emma found herself falling for him more and more. Despite the initial doubts she had about their differences, her humble background, and his high society lifestyle, Emma couldn't ignore the way Liam made her feel. She felt seen, truly seen. And for the first time in her life, she wasn't afraid to show the world who she really was. There were still moments of uncertainty, of course. Emma was well aware of the differences in their worlds. She worked as a waitress at a local cafe, while Liam was a successful tech CEO, constantly pulled in different directions by meetings, calls, and his demanding schedule. It was in these moments of contrast, when Liam would apologize for being late, or when Emma felt out of place at one of his upscale events, that doubt would creep back in. But every time that happened, Liam would remind her how much she meant to him. He would reassure her with a soft touch, a tender word, or just his presence. It was in the quiet moments, when they were simply sitting together, that Emma realized how much he truly cared. One evening, after a long week of work, Emma found herself curled up on the couch in her small apartment, a cup of tea in hand, her phone buzzing beside her. She looked down and saw it was a message from Liam. "I'm heading over to your place after work. We need to talk." Emma's heart skipped a beat. Talk? She wasn't sure if that was a good or bad thing, but knowing Liam, she trusted that whatever he wanted to say would be important. She quickly put her tea down, smoothed her hair, and tried to steady herself. A few minutes later, there was a knock at the door. She opened it to find Liam standing there, looking just as handsome as ever in his sharp suit, though there was a look of concern on his face. "Hey," he greeted her softly, his gaze sweeping over her with a tenderness that made her heart flutter. "Can we talk?" Emma nodded, stepping aside to let him in. They sat down together on the couch, and for a moment, neither of them spoke. The tension was palpable, and Emma couldn't help but wonder what was going on in his mind. "Emma," Liam began, his voice quiet but steady, "I've been thinking a lot about us lately, about everything we've been through together." Emma felt her stomach churn nervously. "And?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam took a deep breath, his eyes meeting hers. "I want to be honest with you. I know we've been taking things slow, and I know I've told you that I care about you. But I need you to know that what I feel for you, it's not just some passing fancy, it's real." Emma's heart raced as she listened to his words. She had hoped for this, had longed for this kind of reassurance, but hearing it from him made everything feel more tangible. "Liam," she said softly, her voice trembling, "I feel the same way. I've always been afraid of getting hurt, of trusting someone and having them walk away." Liam reached over, taking her hand in his thumb gently rubbing the back of her hand. "I get it," he said, his voice filled with empathy. "I know my world is different from yours, and I know it's not always easy. But Emma, I don't want you to be afraid. I'm not going anywhere." The sincerity in his words was like a balm to her soul. Emma had never felt more certain of anything in her life. She squeezed his hand, a smile tugging at her lips. "I'm not afraid anymore," she whispered. "I want this. I want us." Liam smiled, his eyes shining with a mixture of relief and happiness. He leaned in, brushing a soft kiss against her forehead. "Good," he said, his voice low and tender. "Because I want you more than you could ever know." They sat there in silence for a few moments, both of them processing the weight of their words. It was in this quiet, intimate moment that Emma realized just how much Liam meant to her, and how much she was ready to give in return. She had always been afraid to open her heart, to trust someone with her deepest feelings. But with Liam, it felt different. He had shown her what real love could be: patient, understanding, and unwavering. As they sat on the couch together, their hands intertwined, Emma knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The road ahead wasn't going to be easy, but with Liam by her side, she was ready for anything. It was in this moment, surrounded by the warmth of his presence, that Emma truly believed in the love they were building. And as the night drew on, they talked about their hopes, their dreams, and what the future might hold, both of them confident that whatever came next, they would be there for each other, every step of the way. Weeks had passed since Liam and Emma had confessed their feelings for each other, and their relationship had grown deeper, more genuine with every passing day. They spent more time together than ever, sharing quiet moments, exploring new places, and opening up about their hopes and fears. Emma was learning to trust him, and for the first time in her life, she felt like she wasn't just settling for what was easy, but for what was real. She felt loved, seen, and cherished. But even with all the progress they'd made, Emma couldn't shake the nagging feeling that there was still something Liam wasn't telling her. She had noticed that, despite his growing affection for her, there were moments when he seemed distant, like he was carrying some heavy burden. He would close off, withdraw for a while, and then return as though nothing had happened. Emma tried not to let it bother her, but deep down, she knew that something wasn't quite right. One evening, as they sat together on her couch, the tension between them was palpable. Liam had been quiet for the past few hours, staring out the window with a faraway look in his eyes. Emma could tell something was bothering him. She reached for his hand, her fingers lightly brushing against his, trying to break the silence. "Liam, talk to me," she said softly. "I can tell something's on your mind. You've been quiet all evening." Liam shifted, his eyes meeting hers for a moment before looking away. He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture that made Emma's heart ache. "I don't want to bring you down," he said, his voice low, as though he was trying to shield her from something. "But there's something I need to tell you, something I should have told you a long time ago." Emma's stomach tightened. She could feel the weight of his words hanging in the air. She squeezed his hand, her voice steady but filled with concern. "Liam, you can tell me anything. You know that." He took a deep breath, his shoulders slumping slightly as he finally met her gaze. "It's my family," he began, his voice thick with emotion. "There's a lot of pressure on me to take over the family business, to be the perfect heir, the perfect son. I've been carrying this weight for so long, and I've never shared it with anyone, not even my closest friends." Emma listened intently, her heart aching for him. She could see how much this was eating at him. "I've always been expected to be someone I'm not," he continued, his voice cracking slightly. "And I've been so focused on meeting those expectations, I've lost sight of who I really am, who I want to be. And now, with you," he trailed off, his words hanging in the air. Emma could see the internal struggle in his eyes, the pain he had been carrying for so long. She reached out and gently cupped his cheek, her touch soft and comforting. "Liam," she whispered, "I don't want you to feel like you have to live up to anyone's expectations, least of all mine. You don't have to be anyone but yourself." He closed his eyes, her words sinking in. "I know," he said quietly, "but it's hard to break free from that. The expectations, the responsibilities, they've always been there, looming over me. And I've let them control me for so long." Emma moved closer, her heart full of compassion for him. "You're not alone in this," she said gently. "I'm here for you, Liam. Whatever you decide, whatever path you choose, I'm with you. You don't have to carry that burden on your own anymore." Liam opened his eyes and looked at her, his expression softening. For the first time in a long while, Emma saw a glimmer of hope in his eyes. "I don't know what the future holds," he admitted. "But I know that with you by my side, I can face it. I can figure it out." Emma smiled, her heart swelling with love for him. "We'll figure it out together," she said softly, "one step at a time." The weight that had been hanging over them both seemed to lift just a little, the tension slowly easing. They sat in silence for a while, just holding each other, letting the comfort of their presence soothe their worries. It wasn't going to be easy, Emma knew that, but she was ready for whatever came next. With Liam, she felt stronger than she ever had before. As the evening wore on, Liam seemed more at ease, his usual smile returning as they joked and laughed together. It was moments like these, when they were simply themselves, that Emma knew their bond was something special. The road ahead was still uncertain, but one thing was for sure: they would face it together, with love and trust guiding them every step of the way. And that, to Emma, was all that mattered. Weeks passed since that night, and Emma found herself growing more in love with Liam every day. They continued to navigate the ups and downs of their relationship, learning more about each other's worlds, insecurities, and dreams. While Liam still carried the weight of his family's expectations, Emma was right by his side, supporting him in every way she could. She could see the changes in him, how much lighter he seemed when he was with her, how he started to open up more, shedding the facade of perfection he had carried for so long. Emma's world had also shifted. She no longer felt like she was standing on the sidelines, watching others live out their dreams. With Liam, she felt empowered to chase her own. She had started taking painting classes in her free time, something she had always wanted to do but never had the courage to pursue. It felt like her dreams were finally within reach, and Liam's unwavering support was the fuel that kept her going. But despite the progress they had made, there were still moments when doubt crept in. One day, after spending the weekend together at Liam's penthouse, Emma found herself in the quiet of her apartment, thinking about their future. She knew she wanted to be with Liam, but she couldn't shake the fear of being left behind. She had always been the one to hold back, to keep herself at a distance, and now she was afraid that the differences between them would eventually pull them apart. The life that Liam led was so different from hers. He had his own empire, his own world of business meetings, events, and expectations. While she was just a waitress with dreams of becoming an artist, would that ever be enough? Could he really see a future with her, someone so ordinary compared to the women he could have? That night, as she lay in bed, her phone buzzed with a message from Liam. "Can we talk tomorrow? I have something important I want to share with you." Emma's heart skipped a beat. She couldn't help but feel a sense of unease, a knot tightening in her stomach. What did he want to talk about? Was something wrong? The next day, she waited anxiously for Liam to arrive at her apartment. He showed up just after dinner, his expression serious but warm. As soon as he walked in, he reached for her hand, and Emma could see the nervousness in his eyes. "Hey, everything okay?" she asked, trying to mask the anxiety building in her chest. Liam nodded, giving her a small smile. "Yeah, everything's fine," he said, his voice steady but filled with something Emma couldn't quite place. "I've just been thinking a lot about us, about the future, and I realized something." Emma felt her heart race. She had no idea what he was about to say, but whatever it was, she knew it was important. She squeezed his hand, silently urging him to continue. "I know we've been taking things slow, and that's been good for both of us," he began, "but I don't want to keep hiding from what I feel anymore." Emma tilted her head, her confusion growing. "What do you mean?" I mean that I don't want to live my life with the fear of losing you, Liam said, his voice now full of emotion. I know I've been holding back, trying to protect myself and you from all the complications that come with my world, but I've realized something. I can't keep living in fear. I can't keep letting my past control my future. Emma's heart began to race, but she stayed quiet, letting him speak. What I'm trying to say, Emma, is that I want you in my life. I want you by my side, no matter what. I don't want to wait anymore. I want to build something real with you, something that lasts. The words hit her like a wave, crashing over her and leaving her breathless. She had always feared that Liam would eventually pull away, that he would realize they were too different to make it work. But here he was, saying that he wanted her, that he was ready to build a future with her. Emma felt the weight of his words settle in her heart, the fears she had carried for so long melting away. She looked at him, her eyes filled with tears, and smiled. I want that too, Liam. I want a future with you. Liam's face softened with relief and happiness, and without another word, he gently cupped her face, his thumb brushing away a stray tear. He leaned in, pressing his lips to hers in a kiss that was gentle at first, then deepened with the intensity of their emotions. When they pulled apart, both of them were breathless, their hearts racing in unison. I'm so glad we're on the same page, Liam whispered. I've never been more certain about anything in my life. Emma smiled, her heart full. Neither have I. In that moment, all the doubts, all the fears that had plagued her heart, faded away. They had both been afraid to take that step, afraid of the unknown, but now they were ready to face it together. Whatever the future held, they would face it side by side. The road ahead wouldn't always be easy, but Emma knew that with Liam by her side, they could handle anything. And as they sat together, hands intertwined, Emma realized that love wasn't about perfection or having all the answers. It was about trusting each other and being willing to take that leap together. Months had passed since that pivotal conversation, and Emma and Liam's relationship had blossomed into something deeper than either of them could have imagined. They had faced challenges, Liam with his family's expectations, and Emma with her own insecurities, but together they had found strength in each other. Their bond had grown strong, built on trust, love, and a shared commitment to a future they both wanted to create. Emma had continued to pursue her dreams of becoming an artist, taking on new projects and gaining recognition for her work. Liam, too, had made progress in his personal life. He had started to step away from the constant pressure of his family's expectations, choosing instead to focus on what truly made him happy, his life with Emma. But as much as they had grown, there was still something Liam hadn't shared with her. He had told her once that he was ready to build a life with her, but now, as they sat together on a quiet evening, he felt like it was time to take the next step. He had been planning it for weeks, gathering the courage to ask her the one question that had been on his mind since the day they met. Emma, Liam said softly, his voice carrying the weight of unspoken emotions. She looked up from the painting she had been working on, her eyes meeting his with a mixture of curiosity and affection. What's on your mind? She asked, setting her brush aside. Liam took a deep breath, his heart racing. He had been through countless business meetings, dealt with high-stakes decisions, but this moment felt different. This was the moment that would change everything. I've been thinking about us, he began, his gaze never leaving hers. I know we've had our ups and downs, but I truly believe that we've built something special, and I don't want to wait anymore. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Emma's heart skipped a beat. She could see the sincerity in his eyes, the raw emotion in his voice. He wasn't just saying words, he meant them. Liam, she whispered, her breath catching in her throat. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box, holding it in front of her. Emma, will you marry me? The question hung in the air, and for a moment, everything seemed to stop. Emma's mind raced as she looked at the ring, the symbol of everything they had been through, everything they had built together. She thought about the challenges they had faced, the fears they had conquered, and the love that had only grown stronger with time. She thought about her dreams, her future, and how she couldn't imagine that future without him by her side. With tears welling up in her eyes, Emma smiled, her heart full. Yes, she whispered, the word coming out with so much emotion that it took her by surprise. Yes, I will marry you. Liam's face broke into a wide grin as he slipped the ring onto her finger, his hands trembling with excitement. I love you so much, Emma, he said, his voice full of joy. I've never been more certain of anything in my life. I love you too, Liam, Emma replied. her voice thick with emotion. "And I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you." They embraced, holding each other close, as if they never wanted to let go. The world outside seemed to disappear, leaving just the two of them, wrapped in the warmth of their love. It wasn't perfect, and they knew there would still be challenges ahead. But they also knew that together, they could face anything. This was just the beginning of their journey, and Emma felt like the luckiest woman in the world to have found someone like Liam, someone who truly saw her for who she was, and loved her for it. As they stood there, in the quiet of their home, their future stretched out before them like an open road. And no matter what lay ahead, Emma knew one thing for sure: she had found her forever. Together, they would build the life they had always dreamed of, hand in hand, heart in heart.